One thing we didn't discuss at the end of the last video was saving our files once we have them created. So once you have your entire part modeled, you have the correct color assigned to it, and you have also set your correct front view and home view, we're going to go ahead and save it. Now I have already saved mine under the correct name, which you can see here at the top of the screen. But I want to go through and show you guys how to save that. So if you have a part, and generally it'll be part 1, part 2, part 3 over here, depending on, and up here, depending on how many you've opened so far since you've opened Inventor for the day. Once you have that ready to save, you go to the iPro button or the application button in the top left corner, and you would click Save. Since I've already saved mine, I'm going to use Save As. And then you want to make sure that your file name matches the naming convention which is on your project sheet located in Canvas and also in paper form given to you in class. The naming convention for the part files is pcube underscore the color of the part underscore first initial last name. So when you go to name your parts, and if in your case if you had a green cube, the only difference in your file name from mine to yours would be your first initial and last name. And once you have that name correctly, you'll click Save and save that to your folder. Since I already have it saved, I'm going to go ahead and hit Cancel. Now, once you have this part, or your first part done, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. So I'm going to go ahead, and since I already have this saved, I know it's saved, I'm going to go ahead and close it. And I'm going to go to the Open command, which can either be up here in the ribbon or under the Application button, the iPro button. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my orange part. Now we're going to go through and model this part. And once again, we were talking about additive versus subtractive not manufacturing, but modeling, and the combination of both additive and subtractive to get the most efficient method to create your model. So in this case, I think that I'm going to go ahead and create this L shape on the back, and then come after I extrude that L shape, then I'll go to this front face, create a sketch, and then create this cube here. So once again, I'm going to go to the iPro button, and I'm going to select New. And you can either come down here to the part file, or if you go to New from Listed Templates, make sure if you're selecting from here that you use the standard IPT file. So we'll go ahead and double click on that. And also another place that you can start new files from is up here on your quick access toolbar. There's a new option here, or it looks like a little piece of paper, and if you hit the drop down, you can quickly select a new file from one of these, but not from one of the templates. So you can select a new part file from here, and if you select part file from here, it'll automatically select standard IPT. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and model my orange part, and I'm going to start with this L shape in the back. So I'm going to start a 2D sketch, and once again, I'm going to use the XY plane, and once again, we have the XY plane, the YZ plane, and the XZ plane, which are related to our 3 axes here in the bottom left-hand corner. So I'll go ahead and select the XY plane, and I'm going to hold down my scroll wheel and pan this down so I can have my origin in the bottom left-hand corner, so I can work in this quadrant up here. And in order to create that L shape, once again, I could come back and use my line command and outline that L shape. But I'm going to go ahead and use the rectangle command, and I'm going to go ahead and sketch each of these parts. So this one happens to be 1 wide by 2 tall cubes, so I know that it's going to be 0.75. Then I can tab over, and that'll be 1.5. I can zoom out so I can see that and pan down. And then I'm going to use a rectangle command again, and I'm going to snap to this bottom left-hand corner, or I'm sorry, bottom right-hand corner of this rectangle, just like I did on the origin. And I know it's snapped because I have that green dot. I'm going to click and not hold, but just click and drag up, and I'm going to enter my 1.5 inches in width and my 0.75 inches in height, and hit enter. Once I have that sketch finished, I'm going to go ahead and finish that sketch. And I'm going to zoom out here a little bit and pan over using the scroll wheel button, and I'm going to select Extrude. And once again, as in the last video, we have 2 different profiles here, so it doesn't automatically select it, so we'll have to actually individually select each one. And showing an inch extrusion, I actually want that to be 0.75, so I'll type that in, and then I'll hit OK. Now once I have that back L shape, I'll go back and look at my orange part here real quick. I want to add this front cube on here. So I'm going to create a new 2D sketch on this front face. And then I want to add that square over in this corner so I can extrude that out and create my cube. So once again, I could use the line command, but I'm going to use the rectangle command. I'm going to start in this bottom left-hand corner and snap there. You see I get that green, zoom in here a little bit. See I get that green dot. I'm going to click, not click and hold, but just click and drag. And I know that I want this thing to be 0.75 wide, so I'll make that 0.75. I'll tab over. Now instead of inserting my 0.75 dimension here, what I can do is I can drag this up until it snaps to that line. And what you'll see right below my cursor is a constraint. So instead of putting in the 0.75, now I have actually constrained the height of this to the height of the previously extruded shape. So I'll go ahead and click that, and I'll finish that sketch. And then I will go ahead and extrude this. And I know we want this to be 0.75, but I'm going to go ahead and make it 1 inch because I want to go back and show you how you can fix your extrusions if you incorrectly make them. So I'm going to make that 1 inch. And then obviously that looks a little out of place there. So if we want to fix that one extrusion, we can hover over our extrusions in our browser on the left-hand side of the screen, and it'll highlight that extrusion in our graphics window. So I'm going to double click on that extrusion, and it brings back up my extrusion panel so I can change that from 1 inch down to 0.75 and then hit OK. Now what I can also do is I have this extrusion, but a part of that extrusion is the original sketch that I made. So if I hit this plus sign next to the extrusion, it'll expand and show me my actual sketch, and if I hover over it, it'll show the sketch in my graphics window. But if I double click that, it'll allow me to go back in here and edit this if necessary. So if I had made this 1 inch wide instead of 0.75 by accident, all I would have to do is come in here, double click on that, and change that dimension. If the dimension isn't there that you need, you can always go up to the dimension command up at the top and select the line you want to dimension, drag out a dimension, and in this case, that would be a driven dimension and we don't need it, and we wouldn't be able to edit it, but in most cases we would be able to if we added that. So once I'm done with my edits, I can finish sketch, and then everything will come back to where it needs to be. Once again, I need to go up and add the color to my sketch, so I'm going to type in orange. And this one here looks good. Now my part isn't selected, so I need to go over to the browser, click on part 1 to select the entire part, and then I can click the Add Appearance to Document. And then go ahead and close that, and that adds the orange color. Now one other thing you want to make sure of is that you have the proper front view. So if you notice over here, this front view is the correct front view, and that this is my correct home view. Now for instance, if this was let's go ahead and set this here as our current front view, and that is obviously not correct, so we wanted to change it to our correct front view, which in this case would be the left view would be our correct one. So we'll right click on it, set current view as, and front. Now the other thing that you can change is if I hit the home button, this is where it should be, but if I wanted to change where that was, or it was set incorrectly where my home goes to, which should have been where this is my front and this is my right and this is my top, then I can go over to my view cube and right click and set current view as home and set fit to view, and that'll set the current view as my home view. And I can do this in any view. So if I wanted to make front view my home view, I could right click, set current view as home, fit to view. Now if I come out here to the ISO view and I hit home, it'll go to the home view. Now if I want to select that back to the ISO view, I'll put it in the correct ISO view, right click, set current view as home, fit to view. Now if I go to the front view and hit the home command, it'll take me right back. Now a lot of these features we've talked about are also available or available up here in our ribbon as commands, but they're also available in the right click menu. So if I right click on here, there's several things I can do. Extrude is one, so if I have a sketch that I want to extrude, instead of going up to the ribbon to select extrude, I can right click and select extrude. If I want to create a new sketch, I can right click and then click new sketch, and that would allow me to select any of these surfaces to add a sketch to. So most of your commands are available both in the ribbon and in a right click menu.